Here are 15 secret features hiding in your Xbox Series X.
This little feature is something that leads to a lot of other cool features that you may be overlooking. It's called Instant On. Now you can go and check out if this setting is enabled for you by opening up the guide, go into Profile and System, Settings, General, Power Mode and Startup, and then select Power Mode, and then you can check it off and on. With Instant On mode, you're able to start up your console faster, wake up your console with your voice, so if you have a digital assistant connected to your Xbox, you can say, turn on my Xbox, and you'll be able to do that. And this feature also allows you to turn off your other devices like your monitor and your cable using your Xbox. Instant On will also give you access to all sorts of remote play features. For example, with your Xbox app on your phone, you can download a game to your Xbox console if you have Instant On enabled. Instant On, however, requires a fair bit of energy from my understanding, so if none of those features are for you, you're just like, I'm not so into it, you can turn it off and save a fair amount of energy. This next feature is actually pretty new, so you might have missed it, but now you can actually use your Xbox button to change your TV's input. This is a really awesome move because I hate having multiple remotes, multiple controllers. I want to consolidate this all, and this is something that is a step forward to that. If you want to try this feature for yourself, go on over to the General tab in your settings, TV and AV power options, and you can turn it on. You just gotta make sure that HDMI CEC is enabled. It won't work if that is not enabled. Now we all know that storage on these next-gen consoles fills up pretty fast. Now you do have the option of expanding the storage by buying a Seagate card, but that gets pretty expensive, pretty pricey. So if you want to manage your storage without breaking the bank and buying that Seagate card, custom installation is a great way to do that. This is a function that literally allows you to install the games or the parts of the games that you actually want. If you install a game and you go to your queue, press the start button on that game, and you can literally pick what parts of the game that you want to install. So for example, if your friends are playing Gears 5 multiplayer and you want to join in with them, but you're not so interested in the campaign, you can literally just download the multiplayer portion of that. If you want to take it a little bit further, if you need a little bit more space, Xbox actually has a function that says free up space, and this will clear out any add-ons that you haven't used in a while. It'll clear out any apps that you haven't used for a while. It's really awesome if you want to clear up just that little bit of extra space that you need to download that new shiny game. This next one's a relatively new feature. I'm talking about the ability to remap your share button. Xbox has come to the unfortunate conclusion that not a lot of people are using the share button. It's something that is like a forgotten stepchild of this new Xbox controller. So they said, you know what? We're gonna roll out an update that allows you to remap it to something you will actually use. This is actually part of a wider function that allows you to remap other parts of your controller. If you want to remap your share button, you gotta make sure you have a profile created in the Xbox Accessories app. Once you do that, you can actually remap a lot of the functions, the just single tap, the double tap, and the long hold of the share button to different things. So the single tap on mine is actually remapped to bring up my friends list on the Xbox dashboard. And that's something I actually use quite a bit to invite friends to parties, to games, and keep in touch with all the people who are adding me on Xbox because of my YouTube channel. So for me, this was a definite improvement over the standard screenshot recording use of the share button. And you can actually remap it to a lot of other cool things as well. You can bring up certain visual settings, toggle light and dark mode just by double tapping, tapping, or long holding your share button. This is something that's really helpful to me personally. I have an external hard drive that is an SSD, but not the Seagate SSD that I use to store all my screenshots and game recordings on. Now, if you save a screenshot or a recording on your internal storage, you can view it on your Xbox, and it even uploads to your Xbox app so you can view it on your phone. That's not how it works if you have an external SSD like I do though. If you want to look at the screenshots and the screen recordings that you've taken to your external SSD, you're gonna have to download a separate media player. And it's actually pretty straightforward. If you go to your storage devices and you go to your SSD, it'll prompt you to download that media player so you can view the contents of that external hard drive. It's a really quick download, the file size is not that big for the media player, and it works as advertised.
Ah, Ray, I have a gift for you, my friend.
Thanks, Var. Very kind of you. Make sure you go on down to the merch shelf in the description or go to stayxboxready.com for your very own Maidenless t-shirt. If you use the code STAYREADY, you get 10% off your purchase. This next tip is for my gamers out there who want to maintain immersion. I'm talking about turning off your Xbox notifications. I was inundated with notifications for whatever reason while I was fighting General Radahn, the Star Scourge, in Elden Ring, which as we all know is an epic fight. It's this big festival with all sorts of NPCs that you can summon. It's this huge story moment moment, and for whatever reason, my notifications were blowing up and just pinging me at the top of my screen while I was trying to enjoy this fight. It was kind of annoying. But after that, I used this little trick and I'm much happier with my Elden Ring experience. If you want to turn off notifications yourself, hit that Xbox button, open up the guide, select Profile and Systems, Settings, Preferences, and then Notifications. Select Xbox notifications, and then select the Allow Notifications checkbox to turn all notifications off. Again, turning off notifications has made my Elden Ring experience a lot smoother. It keeps me in the game a lot longer, especially when I have my headphones. I'm like fully immersed in it with no notifications to randomly pop up and take me out. One of you actually reached out to me and said, hey, I noticed that you pay for Xbox Ultimate monthly, but actually you could get it for free if you use your Microsoft Rewards. And I was like, what is Microsoft Rewards? What is this? I want free stuff. Tell me more about it. And when I actually looked into it, I went down this rabbit hole of people who have accumulated a massive amount of Microsoft Reward points that they just use for a ton of free stuff. People are saying like, yeah, I have a lifetime accumulation of like 500,000 points, 250,000 points. I use it for like years of free Game Pass Ultimate. There's like a whole Reddit thread about this. I was amazed. I was like, yo, this is great. It's like a like next level Xbox version of like people who like use a bunch of coupons to get a bunch of free stuff. Now, Microsoft Rewards is something that is included in your Microsoft account. So it's not a program that you have to pay for, like a monthly fee, Costco sort of situation. It is part of your Microsoft account. You just have to join it to the rewards program. And basically they give you points by either doing stuff on Game Pass, playing certain games, getting achievements, things like that, but also for random things. Like there's a promotion going on right now where if you watch The Batman on your Xbox console, buy it and watch it on your console, you get 2,500 points. And you can use those points and redeem them for real world cash. And the amount of things you can actually redeem using your Microsoft Rewards account is pretty impressive. I mean, you can get an Xbox gift card, of course, that's pretty standard, but you can also get like Amazon gift cards, you can get Domino's frickin' pizza, you can get like Hulu gift cards, DoorDash gift cards, you can use your points for a lot of things. And what a lot of people are doing, I'm seeing, is that they're using their points and converting them to pay for their Game Pass Ultimate subscription. There are a lot of people who pick up the PC Game Pass option, which is cheaper to redeem in the reward store, and then converting that to the Game Pass Ultimate subscription. There are people telling me like, yeah, I got like 2 years free of my Game Pass Ultimate subscription. It's awesome. And while yes, it does take a little bit of time for these points to accumulate to these really awesome rewards, we're kind of just leaving money on the table by not paying attention to the points in our reward system. You may have earned thousands of points already and you don't even know it. And it's better to get into it now than later because they're slowly raising the price. They're kind of catching on that people are redeeming all their points for free Game Pass Ultimate. Now, I know a lot of people play video games because they're introverted. They just want to take time for themselves, explore a world in peace. Xbox, I feel like, does a really good job of facilitating social interaction amongst its player base. For example, they have these things called clubs. And clubs are online meeting places created by the Xbox community for like-minded people to enjoy multiplayer gaming and socializing. If you want to check out the different clubs that are out there, click your guide button on your controller, go to People, Clubs, Discover Clubs, and explore all clubs. I'm only a part of one club, and that's because Mr. Manygamer, shout out to you if you're watching, invited me to this Fortnite club. Sorry I haven't been super active on it. I will eventually now, especially that there is no build mode in Fortnite. Now again, if you are kind of like, I don't know about clubs, I'm not really a big social media guy, I'm not really into all of that, and you just want someone to play with, if you fall into that category, Xbox actually has a looking for group tool that you can use without being a member of a club. So if you want to jump into Halo Infinite, Apex, Sea of Thieves, but your usual crew isn't on, you can always use the Looking for Group app to team up with someone. This next tip is small, but I think it goes a long way in making your Xbox feel like home. That's right, guys, I'm talking about the ability to customize your dashboard and make it look nice and pretty whenever you log in. So what you gotta do, it's very simple. You take your controller, and I never know what the official term for this button is called right here, but the other start button, that's what I like to call it. You press that button and you'll be able to bring up all sorts of customization options for your dashboard. I put up a TikTok that was explaining the double tap feature for the controller, and someone asked me, hey, how did you get that background? I had the dynamic background for the Xbox 20th anniversary that came with this controller, and it looks really cool, and they have other dynamic backgrounds as well. They have Master Chief. I have one that's like a peaceful, like Zen autumn day. I really like it. I really dig the vibes. And besides dynamic backgrounds, you can upload your own image if you wanted to. You can also rearrange the groupings of your apps, like the entertainment section of your dashboard, the event section of your dashboard, the media, the games, all that stuff. This next tip is something we touched on earlier. It is the ability to control your Xbox using a digital voice assistant. I'm talking like Google, I'm talking Alexa, I'm talking Siri. This is something that really reminds me of the days of having a Kinect and being able to yell at your Kinect and get your Xbox to turn on and off, turn up the volume, open up different apps. It's just something I think is cool, and it can easily integrate your Xbox into everything else that you have running into your digital assistant as well. As a reminder, in order to use this feature, in order to use a digital assistant with your Xbox, you have to make sure that Instant On is enabled. And I should have clarified this earlier, but it's not referred to as Instant On when you're looking to try to activate it in your AV and power settings. Instead, it's called Standby versus Power Saving Mode. You gotta make sure that it's in standby mode if you wanna make use of the digital assistant. I personally use Google Home, and I was able to hook it up really easily through the Google Home app, signing in my Xbox account and connecting it that way. I also know that it works with Alexa. I'm not so sure about the Apple stuff. I'm not quite sure, but it's worth a try. This sort of goes along with the customization I was talking about with the dashboard. All you gotta do is hit that Xbox button. That's how all these tips typically start out. Hit that Xbox button on your controller and then put Create Group. I've done this with all my streaming apps, so Netflix, Crunchyroll, Hulu, Amazon Prime Video. I have them all in one group so I can access them right away rather than dig through them by going through my games and apps. This next tip is especially helpful for all my accident-prone viewers out there. It's a protection plan for your Microsoft devices, so Xbox, Surface Pro, they have a really popular plan for it. And it covers all accidental damages to your Xbox console for up to 3 years. There's no deductible from what I'm seeing, so it looks like you can really just get a full-on replacement. And it's definitely recommended for new Xbox owners, either getting it when you buy your Xbox, or they cover it up to 45 days after you buy your Xbox. After that, I'm not so sure. I have heard people, they contact Microsoft support and they're able to get coverage after that window. But like I said, I feel like this is something that should be a lot more widely known, and I feel like it is not. As part of an effort to make their console more accessible, Xbox rolled out an update not too long ago that allows you to make special colorblind filters depending on your visual needs. The process to set it up is pretty intuitive. All you gotta do is they have different presets and color wheels, and you just got to make sure that the one that you pick, all the colors look like they should, essentially, if that makes sense. I have a slight filter on mine because on my glasses, I have a little blue light filter tint that kind of gives everything a little bit of like a very, very, very slight like brownish yellow hue versus when I have them off. So I do have this filter that adjusts the colors just a little bit to compensate for the tint that's on my glasses. It's been really helpful for me, and you can also toggle those settings very, very quickly. You can turn them on and off, whether they're in the quick settings or whether you remap them to that share button like I was just telling you about earlier.